doesn't sleep either. Waves keep touching the harbor wall again and again, like unfinished thoughts. The balcony door stays open. Cold sea wind moving slowly through the apartment. I sit wrapped in blankets, watching reflections break across black water. The ocean doesn't sleep either. Maybe that's why I feel calmer here. Distant ship lights flicker softly somewhere beyond the rain. You used to stand beside me. Low voice, warm hands, half awake eyes. The kind of presence that fills quiet rooms gently. I pour another cup of coffee, steam rising into blue darkness. The city behind us still glowing faintly. Nen, umi no toki koeru. The waves sound endless tonight, like they're trying to keep lonely people company. Morning slowly approaches, clouds fading silver above the harbor skyline. But for now, this ocean air still belongs to sleepless women and hearts that refuse to rest. The station feels colder now after the last train leaves. Rainwater sliding slowly across the empty platform. Nobody talks anymore. Shizuka na yoru da ne. Only the sound of footsteps fading away. Blue lights flicker softly on wet rails. I pull my jacket closer and keep standing there, as if staying longer could change something. Rain after the last train, mada kaeritakunai. The city feels gentler at this hour, like it finally stopped pretending. The vending machine hums quietly, warm coffee in my hands. Your message still unopened, not because I forgot, just because I don't know what to say tonight. Ame no nioi ga suru. The air smells like summer rain. A train passes far away, not the station, not anymore. Rain after the last train, everything echoes slower here, even memories. I watch reflections move across the platform floor. and wonder if you're awake somewhere too. Tokyo wa nemuranai ne, neither do we. The sky slowly softens beyond the buildings. Morning is getting closer, but not yet for now. This quiet station still belongs to sleepless people like us. The station feels colder now after the last train leaves. Rainwater sliding slowly across the empty platform. Nobody talks anymore. Shizuka na yoru dane. Only the sound of footsteps fading away. Blue lights flicker softly on wet rails. I pull my jacket closer and keep standing there, as if staying longer could change something. Rain after the last train, nada kaeritaku nai. The city feels gentler at this hour, like it finally stopped pretending. The vending machine hums quietly, warm coffee in my hands. Your message still unopened, not because I forgot, just because I don't know what to say tonight. Ame no niyoi ga suru. The air smells like summer rain. A train passes far away. Not this station, not anymore. Rain after the last train. Everything echoes slower here, even memories. I watch reflections move across the platform floor and wonder if you're awake somewhere too. Tokyo wa nemuranai ne, neither do we. The sky slowly softens beyond the buildings. Morning is getting closer, but not yet for now. This quiet station still belongs to sleepless people like us. A black cat waits near the harbor wall. Tiny raindrops falling beside the ocean. Yeah, soft enough to almost disappear into the wind. The city lights ripple across dark water. I pull my coat tighter and keep walking slowly. The harbor smells like rain and old midnight conversations. The cat watches quietly, like it understands something about lonely people. The convenience store nearby still glowing white. A truck passes somewhere far away, then silence again. The cat near the harbor feels like part of the city itself, always awake, always wondering. I buy warm coffee from a vending machine. Steam rising ocean sounds endless tonight, waves touching concrete gently, like someone whispering from far away. The cat stretches slowly, tail moving beside neon reflections, then disappears between narrow alleyways. I keep standing there, listening to ships moving somewhere beyond the fog. The sky slowly fades lighter, dark navy becoming pale gray, morning approaching quietly, but the harbor still belongs to sleepless people. Wandering black cats like us. 마다 내물에 나이네. The city outside still glowing softly. Traffic lights changing for almost nobody. My room feels smaller after 3 a.m. Coffee growing cold again. I keep the window open even though the rain gets louder. Tokyo 마다 내물하나이, neither do I tonight. The train sounds far away now, like memories passing through another life. I sit cross-legged on the floor beside my laptop, half-finished thoughts still scattered everywhere. The clock keeps moving, but the night doesn't. Blue neon sliding slowly across the ceiling. I remember your voice briefly, not clearly, just enough to stay awake a little longer. 雨の音だけ聞こえる, only the rain speaking now. A motorcycle passes below, then silence returns again. I wonder how many people are still awake right now in tiny apartments beside convenience stores under flickering signs. Try not to think too much. Tokyoはまだ眠らない, and honestly I'm grateful for that, because sleeping cities feel lonelier somehow. The air smells like wet concrete and summer electricity, the kind of night that makes old memories return quietly. I almost text you and stop myself again. Some feelings survive longer inside silence. The sky beyond the buildings begins turning dark blue. Morning approaching slowly, but not yet, not quite yet. For now, the sleepless city still feels like home. 마다 내물에 나이네. The city outside still glowing softly. Traffic lights changing for almost nobody. My room feels smaller after 3 a.m. Coffee growing cold again. I keep the window open even though the rain gets louder. Tokyoはまだ眠らない, neither do I tonight. The train sounds far away now, like memories passing through another life. I sit cross-legged on the floor beside my laptop, half-finished thoughts still scattered everywhere. The clock keeps moving, but the night doesn't. Blue neon sliding slowly across the ceiling. I remember your voice briefly, not clearly, just enough to stay awake a little longer. 雨の音だけ聞こえる Only the rain speaking now. A motorcycle passes below, then silence returns again. I wonder how many people are still awake right now in tiny apartments beside convenience stores under flickering signs, trying not to think too much. Tokyo wa mada nemuranai, and honestly I'm grateful for that, because sleeping cities feel lonelier somehow. The air smells like wet concrete and some electricity, the kind of night that makes old memories return quietly. I almost text you, then stop myself again. Some feelings survive longer inside silence. The sky beyond the buildings begins turning dark blue. Morning approaching slowly, but not yet, not quite yet. For now, this sleepless city still feels like home. Rainwater slides slowly down the harbor window. Yokohama glowing softly beyond cigarette-colored clouds. I lean against the kitchen sink, barefoot, half awake, still wearing yesterday's perfume. Velvet rain in Yokohama. Everything feels quieter near the ocean. Ships move somewhere beyond the fog. Low horns echo faintly across dark water. You used to call me only after midnight. Voice low enough to sound dangerous, the kind of voice that lingers in warm rooms. I light another candle slowly, just to watch shadows move across the walls. Velvet rain in Yokohama. The city smells like wet concrete and expensive loneliness. I open the window slightly, cold air touching bare skin. The rain gets heavier now, tiny neon reflections trembling across my wine glass. I almost call you, then stop myself again. Some nights should remain unfinished. The sky slowly softens, dark navy, fading toward morning. But for now, this harbor city still belongs to sleepless hearts and women who stay awake too long. The convenience store downstairs is still open. White lights spilling onto empty streets. I sit beside the window with cold coffee, watching reflections move across the glass. Some apartments are dark now, some still glowing softly. Tiny lives still awake somewhere. Window light at 4 a.m. feels strangely comforting, like proof that nobody really sleeps completely. The air conditioner hums quietly. Cars pass every few minutes. Not enough to break the silence, just enough to remind me the city is breathing. I check my phone again. Nothing new, still I keep checking. Outside, rainwater shines silver under traffic lights. I think about calling someone, then decide not to. Some feelings sound better when left unspoken. Window light at 4 a.m. makes everything feel slower. Even loneliness, I rest my forehead against the cold glass and watch the sky begin to soften. Not morning yet, but close. The birds will start soon, the trains too, and this fragile hour will disappear again. So I stay still for a little longer, listening to the hum of distant neon lights and the quiet sound of my own breathing. The night bus arrives quietly, doors opening with a soft hiss. Almost every seat is empty, nobody talks at this hour. 深夜のバスは静かだね。Rain slides across the windows, blurring neon signs outside. I sit near the back, watching reflections move across the dark glass. A tired student sleeps softly. Someone listens to music alone. The driver says nothing, only the engine humming gently. Nobody talks on the night bus, and somehow that feels honest. No pretending, no unnecessary words, just tired people trying to make it home. The city passes slowly outside. Convenience stores, traffic lights, wet sidewalks. Everything feels far away tonight. ねえ、まだ起きてる? I almost send the message, then stop myself again. Some feelings sound better inside silence. Nobody talks on the night bus, only rain speaks softly. The sky beyond the buildings begins to Nennen Korori yo, o Korori yo. Soft melody drifting through the apartment dark. Tiny music box echoes beside the rain. Tokyo breathing quietly beyond thin curtains. Nennen Korori after midnight. But nobody really sleeps here. I sit beside the window, warm tea between cold hands, watching distant taxi lights move through wet streets. Ne, mada okiteru. The lullaby keeps repeating softly, like childhood memories, returning too late at night. The room smells like rain and faded perfume. Traffic signals blinking red against empty intersections. Nennen Korori after midnight. Loneliness sounds gentler inside old melodies. I close my eyes briefly, hearing trains somewhere far away. The city never fully quiet, just softer, like tired breathing before dawn. You once fell asleep here, head resting against my shoulder, while rain touched the glass slowly. I still remember the warmth, even now. The lullaby fades gently, leaving only final hiss and distant thunder. Morning approaching little by little, blue light entering the room. But for a few more minutes, this sleepless Tokyo night still belongs to us. The last train moves slowly beyond Tokyo, while rainwater continues sliding across the dark suburban windows beside me, turning every passing streetlight into blurred lines of gold and blue that disappear before I can fully recognize them. The carriage smells faintly like wet coats, convenience store coffee, and tired people pretending not to fall asleep before reaching home. I sit near the back door with my headphones around my neck, although no music is playing right now, because somehow the sound of the train itself already feels enough for this kind of night. The rails hum gently beneath my feet, while quiet station announcements fade into static every few minutes. And somewhere beyond the fogged glass, another apartment building glows softly against the rain. The last train beyond Tokyo always feels different after midnight. Not lonely, exactly, just honest. The student nearby sleeps against the window, while someone farther down the carriage scrolls endlessly through old messages under pale fluorescent light. Nobody talks at this hour. Nobody needs to. The train already carries enough unfinished thoughts for everyone inside it. I loosen my coat slightly and close my eyes for a moment, while the city slowly gives way to quieter neighborhoods filled with narrow streets, vending machines, dim parking lots, and tiny convenience stores that still glow against the rain, like they're refusing to sleep. You used to love these late trains. You once told me that people look more beautiful when they're exhausted, because they stop pretending to be anything else. I laughed when you said it back then, but tonight I think I finally understand what you meant. Outside the window, the rain becomes heavier, and reflections from crossing signals flicker softly across my hands, while the train curves farther away from the center of the city. Tokyo behind us still glows faintly in the distance, like another world that neither of us fully belong to. Anyway, the last train beyond Tokyo keeps moving through the dark, while old memories quietly return one by one without asking permission. I remember your perfume mixed with cigarette smoke near Shinjuku Station. I remember the way you used to lean your head against the train door whenever you were too tired to speak. I remember pretending not to watch you sleep. The speaker above me crackles softly before announcing another nearly empty station. And for a few seconds I consider getting off, even though it isn't my stop yet, just to keep the night going a little longer, just to avoid tomorrow morning. The rain outside softens again, while distant apartment lights drift slowly past the window like tiny floating stars. And somewhere deep inside the quiet rhythm of the train, I realize I still don't want this night to end. The piano softer before sunrise, slow notes floating through the apartment air. Shizukana Asani Narune. I close my eyes briefly, listening to the melody repeat, like rainwater circling inside old memories. Gymnopédie before dawn, everything feels weightless here. The city outside, still covered in blue light. No voices, no alarms yet, only distant traffic breathing somewhere below. I sit beside the window, bare feet against cold floors, watching reflections tremble across wet glass. The song keeps moving slowly without asking anything from me. Maybe that's why I keep listening. 思い出は静かに戻ってくる。 I stay there anyway, because some nights shouldn't end too quickly. Gymnopédie before dawn feels like talking to ghosts gently. The sky beyond the buildings begins changing color, dark blue fading slowly into silver morning light. And for a few more minutes, this quiet room still belongs to music and sleepless hearts. Blue legs beyond the train window, everything passing slowly tonight. Rain streaks sliding across dark glass, the train almost empty now. Only tired faces and quiet breathing. 終電の後みたいだね。I rest my head against the cold window, watching the city blur softly. Convenience stores, traffic signals, apartment lights still awake somewhere. Blue lights beyond the train window feel like unfinished memories. The rails hum gently beneath us, steady and distant. A student sleeps beside the door. Someone scrolls endlessly through their phone. Nobody talks, nobody needs to. The city already says enough. Nah, どこへ帰るの? I don't really know tonight. Maybe nowhere, maybe somewhere that no longer exists. The train slows briefly, then continues into rain again. Tokyo glowing softly beneath heavy clouds. I wonder how many people are quietly falling apart tonight without making any sound. Blue lights beyond the train window still flickering across my face. The sky beyond the buildings begins turning pale blue. Morning getting closer, station by station. And somehow I'm still not ready for the night to end. Flashing lights flicker softly, almost no one left now. Just the sound of rainwater running beside the tracks. I pull my sleeves over my hands. The last train already left, but I'm still here. The city feels different after midnight. Quieter, kinder, a little lonelier. Rain between last trains, that's what tonight feels like. Like something unfinished, still waiting. Your name stay awake. The vending machine hums softly, blue light on wet pavement. I remember the way you used to stand beside me in silence, not talking, just breathing. And somehow that was enough. Rain between last trains, everything echoes slower here. Even memories, the umbrella beside me belongs to nobody now. The platform speaker crackles, an apology for delayed schedules. I almost laugh, some things never arrive on time, including us. The rain gets softer, tiny drops sliding along the edge of the roof. I wonder if you still stay awake too. If somewhere across this sleeping city you also pause when trains pass by. The sky slowly fades from black to deep blue. Morning is coming, but not yet, not quite yet. And honestly, I'm grateful for that, because for a few more minutes this quiet station still belongs to us. The balcony door stays open, cool air moving slowly through the apartment. I can hear waves tonight, toku de nami no oto ga suru. Soft and distant like another dream, passing by quietly. Ocean wind at 4 a.m. feels colder without you. The city behind me still glows blue. Tiny lights scatter beside the harbor. I sit on the floor with unfinished thoughts and half-drunk coffee. The curtains move gently like someone breathing. Umi o miteru. Somewhere across this sleeping city, maybe you are awake too. Ocean wind at 4 a.m. Everything feels slower here, even heartbreak. A motorcycle passes far below, then silence returns again. The sky begins changing color, dark navy turning pale blue. Morning is approaching quietly, but for now the ocean still sounds endless, and this small apartment still belongs to sleepless people like us. Neon reflections on wet street, blue and pink, shaking in the rain. The crosswalk light changes, but nobody moves yet. 午前トランジの渋谷 feels softer somehow. Cars pass slowly, their headlights sliding across the windows. I sit inside a small cafe, watching strangers disappear into umbrellas. The coffee already went cold, but I keep holding it just for warmth. ねえ、まだ眠れない The city hums quietly tonight. Not lonely, just distant. Neon reflections on wet streets. Everything looks unreal here, like memories floating on water. A convenience store door opens, then closes again. A familiar sound in sleepless cities. I think about you briefly, then let the thought drift away. Some feelings survive better without explanation. The rain grows heavier now. Tiny rivers forming along the sidewalk. Tokyo breathing softly before sunrise. And somewhere beneath these lights, someone else is probably thinking about us too. Asakusa feels completely different after midnight. While rainwater gathers quietly along the empty stone streets surrounding Sensoji, reflecting faded lantern light across puddles where tourists spent the entire day taking photographs only hours earlier. Now the shops are closed, the crowds are gone, and the city finally sounds soft enough to hear your own thoughts again. I walk slowly beneath my umbrella while warm wind carries the distant smell of rain, old wood incense, and late night cigarette smoke drifting from narrow alleyways hidden behind silent restaurants and shuttered souvenir stores. Asakusa, after everyone left, feels almost unreal. Like the city removed its makeup at the end of the night. The giant lantern near Kaminarimon sways slightly in the humid breeze, while my footsteps echo softly against wet pavement leading toward the temple grounds. Somewhere nearby I hear quiet laughter from a tiny izakaya that still hasn't closed yet, and for a few seconds the sound feels intimate enough to make the entire district seem alive again. You once brought me here after missing the last train together. We were both too drunk to pretend we weren't attracted to each other anymore. So we wandered streets buying canned coffee from vending machines, while rain started falling over the temple roof sometime close to 4 in the morning. I still remember your hand brushing lightly against my wrist, while we stood beneath the lanterns, watching water drip slowly from red wooden gates glowing against the darkness. Asakusa, after everyone left, still remembers people like us. People too restless to go home, people searching for warmth inside sleeping parts of the city. The rain becomes heavier while I stop beneath the roof of a closed storefront and watch reflections ripple across the nearly empty street in front of me. Neon signs from distant bars flicker faintly between the older buildings, while taxis move quietly through intersections near the river beyond the district. Tokyo always feels younger here after midnight, somehow more vulnerable, less interested in pretending to be perfect. I loosen my coat slightly and continue walking toward the quieter back streets, where tiny jazz cafes and hidden bars still glow softly beneath faded signs older than most people who pass them now. The city smells like wet stone and expensive loneliness tonight, the kind that follows beautiful women home after drinking too much wine alone. Asakusa, after everyone left, feels softer than memory itself, while dawn slowly begins approaching behind the cloudy skyline beyond Sumida River. The lantern light grows dimmer against the rain, while the first distant sounds of morning deliveries echo through the sleeping streets nearby. I pause one last time beneath the temple gate before turning away toward the station, carrying another sleepless Tokyo night quietly inside me, while the city prepares to wake up again. The rain stopped before the last train arrived. Tokyo feels polished after water, platform lights reflecting in quiet lines. I stand near the edge, not close enough to lean, just close enough to listen. The announcement already passed, no one rushing now, only a few umbrellas folded carefully. Tokyo after rain is softer than it appears in photographs. No neon shouting, no crowded crossings, just breathing cool air. I check the clock once, then stop checking. Time moves either way. You used to stand here with me, counting stations in your head as if distance could be simplified. We never argued on platforms, we spoke quietly as if the city required restraint. The piano beneath this moment moves in small intervals. No lift, no emphasis, just presence. Tokyo platform after rain, shoes against damp concrete, a vending machine humming behind me. think about departures, not dramatic ones, the practical kind. Flights booked, suitcases half filled, conversations measured. You said Berlin next time, like cities were steps instead of decisions. Tokyo does not hold anyone, it allows them to pass through. The bass settles low, steady as footsteps descending stairs. A train enters the opposite track, empty, doors opening to almost no one. I watch without moving, not waiting, not expecting. Tokyo platform after rain, everything clean, everything contained. There is comfort in order, knowing where lines begin and end. The rain left small rivers along the tracks. They shine briefly, then disappear. I breathe slowly, matching nothing, just air. If I leave tomorrow, the station will remain. Announcements will continue, trains will arrive precisely. Tokyo does not remember faces, but it remembers rhythm. You once said, distance is easier in structured places. Maybe that's true. The piano lowers again, almost disappearing into platform noise. Tokyo platform after rain, and I am not unsettled, just awake, just still. The next train arrives, doors slide open. I do not board, not yet. I stop beside the vending machine, mostly because of the rain. Although the longer I stood there listening to water gather along the narrow alleyway outside the station, the more it started feeling like I had been waiting for something long before the storm even began. Pale blue light from the machine reflected softly across the wet pavement beneath my shoes, while warm canned coffee pressed gently against my cold hands. Somehow this part of the city always smells like old memories after midnight. A train passes slowly overhead while neon signs flicker faintly beyond the rain. And for a moment I almost expect to see you walking toward me again, with your coat half buttoned and that tired expression you always wore after work. Memory beside the vending machine, that's all tonight really is. The sound of rain grows heavier while cigarette smoke drifts from somewhere near the parking lot across the street. A woman in heels hurries past without looking up, and the quiet hum from the vending machine fills the silence she leaves behind almost immediately. You once kissed me beside one of these machines after the last train stopped running. Not passionately, not dramatically, just slowly enough to make the entire city feel quieter afterward. I still remember the warmth of your hands against my coat pockets while cold rain touched the back of my neck, and traffic lights continued changing for empty streets that nobody crossed anymore. The vending machine clicks softly beside me before another row of drinks lights up against the darkness. Coffee, tea, cheap canned cocktails, tiny glowing choices for sleepless people. I lean against the wall nearby, and close my eyes briefly while memories continue returning one by one. Like songs I forgot I still knew. Your low voice near my ear, your tired laughter inside taxis, your cigarette glowing orange against rainy apartment windows at 4 in the morning. The city somehow feels smaller when I think about you too long. Memory beside the vending machine keeps following me through Tokyo long after midnight. Even now I still slow down whenever I see pale fluorescent light reflecting across wet streets after rain, because some part of me keeps expecting the past to step quietly out of the darkness and stand beside me again. The rain finally begins softening while distant station announcements echo faintly through the humid air beyond the alleyway. Morning still feels far away, but the sky above the buildings has already started losing some of its darkness. I finish the last sip of coffee slowly before placing the empty can back into the machine and stepping into the rain again, carrying your memory with me through another sleepless Tokyo night. The balcony door is open, cool ocean air moves slowly through the room. The curtains shift softly like they're breathing far away. I can hear waves, barely, just enough to blur the silence. Ocean air before sunrise feels different somehow, like the night has finally stopped pretending. The city behind me still glows faintly, blue signs reflected on wet streets. I hold a warm cup between both hands, trying to keep this moment from fading. You used to like mornings like this, quiet ones where nobody expected anything. We never talked much at this hour, we didn't need to. The ocean filled the empty spaces for us. Ocean air before sunrise still carries your memory, not painfully, just softly. Like an old song playing from another room. The wind grows colder, the sky slowly changes, dark navy turning pale blue. Another night ending, another version of me left behind inside it. I close my eyes briefly and listen to waves, to distant traffic, to the quiet inside my chest. Morning is almost here, but for now, the city still belongs to people like me. People who stayed awake long enough to hear the ocean breathe. The convenience store still glows white at 4 a.m. Automatic doors opening slowly. A small chime echoes into the empty street. コンビニは眠らない Neither do I tonight. I walk between shelves without buying anything, just listening to refrigerator hums and quiet footsteps. The cashier looks half asleep, so do I. Warm canned coffee between both hands. Rain outside again. Tokyo feels endless at this hour, like the night forgot how to end. The convenience store never sleeps. Quiet lights for quiet people. Someone reads manga near the back corner. Someone charges their phone silently. Nobody looks at each other, and somehow that feels comforting. 眠れない夜には This place feels almost safe. The fluorescent lights buzz softly, a familiar kind of loneliness. Outside the streets shine silver from the rain. I stand beneath the awning, watching taxis pass slowly. And for a moment the city feels less heavy, just enough to keep walking until morning. The air in Fukuoka feels different at 4 in the morning, while the ocean wind moves quietly between half-empty streets lined with glowing vending machines, closed ramen shops and narrow apartment balconies where laundry still sways gently beneath pale neon reflections. Somewhere far away, I can hear the sound of waves touching the harbor wall, while taxis drift slowly through rain-dark intersections without urgency. I keep walking with one hand inside my coat pocket and warm canned coffee in the other, while my heels echo softly against wet pavement that still smells like summer rain, even though the night has already turned cold enough to make my fingers ache slightly. 4 a.m. air in Fukuoka always makes old feelings return, not dramatically, not painfully, just slowly enough to stay inside my chest for the rest of the night. A convenience store door opens behind me with a familiar electronic chime before closing again, and for a moment the white fluorescent light spills across the sidewalk beside my shadow before disappearing back into silence. The streets near the harbor remain almost empty, except except for a few sleepless people moving quietly beneath transparent umbrellas, like they're trying not to disturb the city itself. I stop beside the river for a while and watch reflections from nearby buildings tremble softly across black water, while cigarette smoke drifts upward from somewhere behind me. You would have liked this weather. You always said coastal cities feel lonelier after midnight, because the ocean makes everything sound farther away than it really is. Back then I thought you were exaggerating, but tonight even my own footsteps feel distant somehow. The wind grows colder as another train crosses somewhere beyond the apartment skyline, while blue lights from traffic signals continue blinking steadily across the wet streets beside me. I pull my coat tighter around my shoulders and continue walking toward the harbor without checking the time anymore. 4 a.m. air in Fukuoka smells like rain, sea salt, coffee, and unfinished conversations. It smells like women who stay awake too long. It smells like people trying not to think about Monday morning yet. The city feels softer now, while the sky above the ocean slowly begins changing from deep navy into pale silver behind heavy clouds. Somewhere nearby, someone laughs quietly before disappearing around a corner. And for a few seconds the sound feels warm enough to stop the loneliness from growing any larger. I sit near the harbor wall with my coffee between both hands, while the ocean wind brushes gently across my face. And as the first traces of morning begin appearing above the sleeping city, I realize that maybe some nights were never meant to heal anything. Maybe they only exist to keep certain memories alive a little longer.
Tokyo feels too big tonight. Neon doesn't know my name. I walk without a reason, just to feel something. Crowded trains, but I'm alone. Voices blur like radio tones. Rain on Shibuya light, silver glow. I watch reflections come and go. Convenience store at 2 a.m. Plastic bags and tired men. I buy a drink I won't finish just to stand like I belong. Foreign words in the air, but loneliness is everywhere. Alone in Tokyo, among a million souls. Neon on my shoulders, but nobody knows. Alone in Tokyo, under city glow. I feel like a novel no one wrote. Tiny room, thin white walls. Suitcase by the door on open calls. I came here chasing something new, but maybe I was running from you. Street musicians, late night sound. Coins falling on the ground. Everyone has somewhere to be except for me. City never sleeps, but I with memories of you. Alone in Tokyo, among a million souls. Neon on my shoulders, but nobody knows. Alone in Tokyo, under city glow. I feel like a novel no one wrote. Maybe I'll write this down, turn this night into a page. If I'm the only reader, it's still my stage. Alone in Tokyo, but still I breathe. Maybe being lost is how we leave a version of ourselves behind in city lights. Tokyo feels too big tonight, but maybe I'll grow into it. Your cigarette burns slowly beside the half-open window. Smoke curling softly into blue neon light. Rain falling harder now. Tiny rivers moving across the fire escape. I sit on the floor quietly, watching your shadow move across the room. Your cigarette in the rain still smells like midnight conversations. You speak softly tonight, like the city might overhear us. The jazz record skips once, then continues again. Warm bass lines, soft thunder, slow breathing, everything blending together. Your hand brushes mine briefly, not enough to hold, just enough to stay dangerous. Your cigarette in the rain, glowing orange in the dark. Tokyo feels endless at this hour. Apartment windows still awake, people pretending not to be lonely. I watch rainwater gather along the glass, thinking about how temporary every beautiful thing becomes. The sky beyond the building starts turning pale blue. Morning slowly arriving, but your scent remains inside the room. Long after the rain stops. No heels on wet asphalt tonight, just bare legs and oversized sleeves. The city shines brighter after rain somehow. Traffic lights reflecting across black streets. I walk slowly past closed cafes and glowing vending machines. No heels on wet
taxi passes quietly, its headlights sliding across puddles beside me. Nen, こんな夜好き. I think you would've liked this weather, cold wind against warm skin. Late night convenience store coffee, blue neon trembling across apartment windows. No heels on wet asphalt, only tired footsteps and unfinished thoughts. The train station ahead, almost empty now. A girl sleeps against her suitcase. Someone laughs softly into their phone. Tokyo carrying lonely people home again. I pull my jacket tighter and keep walking toward morning without rushing, without looking back. Killer on my phone says 4:18 a.m. while pale rain continues tapping softly against the apartment window beside my bed. And somewhere beyond the dark skyline of Tokyo, another train begins, moving through the city toward people already preparing themselves for another Monday morning they never really wanted. I stare at the ceiling for a while without turning on the lights, because somehow darkness feels gentler than reality at this hour. My laptop still glows faintly from the floor beside the couch where I left it hours ago, after pretending to finish work that I stopped caring about sometime around midnight. Monday morning can wait, at least for a little longer. The coffee beside me already tastes cold, but I keep drinking it anyway, while neon reflections from the building across the street move slowly along the walls of my apartment, like quiet waves that refuse to disappear before sunrise. I used to believe adulthood would eventually feel more stable than this. Instead, it mostly feels like staying awake too late while answering emails beneath fluorescent office lights, and trying not to think too hard about how quickly weeks disappear inside crowded trains and unfinished conversations. The city outside remains strangely alive despite the rain. Convenience stores still glow at every corner while taxis slide silently through empty intersections beneath blinking traffic signals that nobody seems to notice anymore. Somewhere downstairs a woman laughs quietly before the sound fades into the wet streets below. Monday morning can wait, because right now the night still belongs to people like me. People too exhausted to sleep properly. People who keep opening refrigerators without being hungry. People who sit on apartment floors listening to rain while wondering when exactly they became this tired. I walk barefoot toward the kitchen and open the window slightly, even though cold air immediately spills into the room. The smell of rain and wet asphalt rises from the streets below, while distant sirens echo somewhere beyond the river crossing near Shinagawa. You used to call me during nights like this, usually after drinking too much wine with coworkers you secretly hated. You would whisper that you didn't want tomorrow to arrive yet, and I would pretend not to understand what you really meant, because admitting it out loud somehow made the loneliness feel heavier. The rain outside softens slowly, while the sky above Tokyo begins turning from black into deep navy navy blue behind rows of silent office towers, waiting for another week to begin. Monday morning can wait just until the song ends, just until the coffee disappears, just until the city finally becomes bright enough to hide how lonely everyone really is again. For now I stay beside the open window, watching headlights slide across wet streets, while the final quiet moments of the night disappear, one slow breath at a time. The alarm on my phone says 4:18 a.m. while pale rain continues tapping softly against the apartment window beside my bed. And somewhere beyond the dark skyline of Tokyo, another train begins moving through the city toward people already preparing themselves for another Monday morning they never really wanted. I stare at the ceiling for a while without turning on the lights, because somehow darkness feels gentler than reality at this hour. My laptop still glows faintly from the floor beside the couch where I left it hours ago, after pretending to finish work that I stopped caring about sometime around midnight. Monday morning can wait, at least for a little longer. The coffee beside me already tastes cold, but I keep drinking it anyway, while neon reflections from the building across the street move slowly along the walls of my apartment, like quiet waves that refuse to disappear before sunrise. I used to believe adulthood would eventually feel more stable than this. Instead, it mostly feels like staying awake too late while answering emails beneath fluorescent office lights and trying not to think too hard about how quickly weeks disappear inside crowded trains and unfinished conversations. The city outside remains strangely alive despite the rain. Convenience stores still glow at every corner while taxis slide silently through empty intersections beneath blinking traffic signals that nobody seems to notice anymore. Somewhere downstairs, a woman laughs quietly before the sound fades into the wet streets below. Monday morning can wait, because right now the night still belongs to people like me. People too exhausted to sleep properly. People who keep opening refrigerators without being hungry. People who sit on apartment floors, listening to rain while wondering when exactly they became this tired. I walk barefoot toward the kitchen and open the window slightly, even though cold air immediately spills into the room.